This is going to be interesting. In 3, 2, 1. So welcome to yet another durability test. This time, the iPhone 15 Pro case drop test video. The video you've all been waiting for. I know. Case reviews aren't complete until you drop them. So let's do it then. We'll find out which case is the best by having them drop in multiple, realistic situations. Oh, and as you can see, we've got plenty of screen protectors, so we'll apply a new one with each case. We'll be testing them at multiple heights, the most realistic scenarios, if you will. Because even though it's fun to watch a 50 feet or 15 meters drop test, I don't think most of us drop it from that high up. So in this video, we'll do a table test where you accidentally drop it off a table and a waist height test for the accidental drops from your hand. Now I've mostly bought one case for each brand, otherwise this video would be very long. But if there are specific cases you would love to see or specific tests you love to see in the next video, make sure you comment which ones, because I will most likely repeat this test for the new iPhones as well. Now let's start. Caudabe is first up. In my initial video I was a little skeptical, but this new version really did fix a lot of my problems with it. I actually really like this case now. The buttons have changed and are very clicky, the fit is better and it's very grippy. This is also one of the strongest feeling cases I've had my hands on. But if you do drop it, this is how it will look like. First drop test in 3, 2, 1. In 3, 2, 1. So there wasn't anything special that happened here, even though the falls were pretty rough to hear. There's only slight damage on one corner of the case and very slightly on the camera bump as well. No damage on the phone, no damage on the screen. Excellent job here. Very impressed with how good the case looks still. So now over to Spigen. You guys are absolutely blasting me for my opinion on the tough armor. So I figured this would be a fitting choice for the drop test. I don't really like this case, but that's all the more reason to settle this debate once and for all. Because we can all agree to disagree on how it looks and feels, but actual results are what matters most. It does have a lot of padding on the inside and makes use of that two-part design, with the outer layer being very hard. Let's see how well it will perform. 3, 2, 1. In 3, 2, 1. So this case did its job, but came out a little rougher than expected. The corner was noticeably damaged, but only aesthetically, as in not something you could actually feel. On the back and camera bump, a few small dents too, but nothing major. On the front, a tiny bit of scraping, so the front bumper did its job. And the phone survived without any damage at all. So one of my favorite cases, the Nomad Rugged. Now I've been using the orange version for a while now and dropped it quite a few times. So I've got a brand new blue one to see what damage it will do this time around. The sides are hard, but also a little giving, making it excellent at dropping it. Fit is excellent, the corners are bulky, and the front lip is more than enough. In 3, 2, 1. In 3, 2, 1. So one thing is very clear. This case is bouncy. It bounces back up when you drop it, and I think that's also part of the reason why it's so good. Now on the front bumper we see that same damage like the Spigen case, albeit less. It's sort of the matte finish which gets scraped off a little. Still looks pretty much brand new here though, so I think it did very well. Phone has no damage and the screen is perfectly intact. Ringke Fusion X, you cannot let me down. This case is my first case featured on the channel, and it's so well protected, I cannot imagine this case not holding up this test. It's got very strong corner protection, a very good camera protection as well, and a decent front lip on there too. Therefore, I would be shocked to see it fail. 3, 2, 1. In 3, 2, 1. So there is damage on the corner protection piece, which was to be expected, but it's not even that bad. Also very minimal scratching on the other corners, and other than that it's in perfect condition. And most importantly, so is the phone. Great value, especially considering this is a very cheap case. Magbak is next, and I'm a little nervous since this is my daily case now, and I would hate for it to be bad at absorbing these falls. I've dropped it once already, but it didn't result in anything major, so let's see how well it does. Magbak. That's good. In 3, 2, 1. In 3, 2, 1. So these drops did really make a cringy sound when they fell on the ground. So much so that I was about to call first casualty. But nothing could be further from the truth. It's actually got pretty much no damage whatsoever, a tiny scar on the backside nearing the top, but that's it. Phone and screen are all undamaged, and you love to see it. Apple cases always feel so nice in the hand. This one is no exception. The silicone and case shape just feel very refined. And since it's Apple, you kind of already have that trust in the product right away. But is that justified? 3, 2, 1. In 3, 2, 1. That sound you just heard was a lot louder in real life, and it was obvious that this would be it, the first iPhone to be damaged. And it was damaged on the screen near the corner. But this is why you should use a screen protector, since it took all of the credit. Still, without it, it would have definitely been a new screen for your iPhone. Therefore, I would say that Apple cases aren't as trustworthy as you may think. Mous is next, and since I really love their iridescent case, I just couldn't choose the Limitless instead. So I bought the Clarity 2.0. Still an awesome fit, but it does have that swelling in the front lip, so it's pretty minimal on the sides. Made from hard plastic, it's probably going to get scratched though. One heads up, it seems like this case came in damaged. There's a slight problem with the MagSafe ring.
That's not damage we've done though, since as you can see, it's still in pristine condition.
3, 2, 1. In 3, 2, 1.
So the result wasn't surprising. They've drop tested these bad boys, so I believe them on that front. But the fact remains that this case will get ugly though. And with these drops, it has created dents and plastic damages on the camera bump and backplate that are feelable and will get annoying really quick. You can also see a lot of tiny scratches on the backplate edge. But hey, the iPhone is completely fine, so mission complete. The Zagg Gear 4 Denali snap case is getting smashed next. This case is hit or miss each year, but it remains a case that has a tight fit, bulky build, and feels very strong, not giving as much. So I am very curious to see how this one will hold up. This version also has the kickstand on the back, and I might drop that open to see how durable that is too.
3, 2, 1. In 3, 2, 1.
To be fair, this one had one drop extra compared to the other cases due to the kickstand, but I reviewed the footage and the damage on the corner here was done on the first drop. This is also feelable plastic damage, so the annoying kind. It's also damaged on the other corner where the lines sort of end. The kickstand got a little bit of damage, but it didn't break, which I had sort of expected. After having reviewed the footage, I just now noticed the damage on the screen protector, which I didn't notice back when I was filming, sadly. But from the side you can clearly see that it's damaged, which is very surprising considering this is such a bulky case. Were it not for the screen protector here, it would have probably damaged the actual screen. ESR is a brand I haven't featured before on the channel. This is the Air Armor series and it's relatively cheap at like 20 USD. But it feels like it too. It has imperfections all over the case and the MagSafe ring. Feels decent, but you can notice they made it as cheaply as possible. Curious how this one will hold up.
3, 2, 1. In 3, 2, 1.
So apparently it didn't capture the aftermath. Luckily, nothing special had happened. I do still have all of the cases, so I just recorded that instead. The case got noticeably damaged on the corners, very slight damage on the camera bump, but other than that though, no damage on the screen protector and the iPhone was fully intact. So the case, even though it feels cheap, is worth its money for sure. UAG, the king of bulky cases. I've bought the carbon fiber Monarch Pro for this test, and having a look at it again, MagSafe did finally get that upgrade. The case feels really strong with that backplate, the fit is also tighter than before, but I noticed there's a little too much give on the sides where the buttons are located. Not that it would matter for this test though, since the corners are all very hard and will definitely protect the iPhone.
In 3, 2, 1. In 3, 2, 1.
So to no one's surprise, it survived. This case doesn't even have damages, only a few scuffs. It protected the phone and screen fully, but the way the case looks after those drops is what really impressed me. Your phone is protected, but the case won't be written off either. Now, ever since I reviewed this case for the S24 Ultra, it's been one of my absolute favorites. Top 5 for sure. Really like the buttons here. They feel like actual buttons instead of them being placed on top of the iPhone buttons. It has that plate for the camera bump, but where on the S24 Ultra you could open up the plate and let it stay like that, here it will be very awkward. So it will probably be closed most of the time. Let's see how well it will hold up in this test.
In 3, 2, 1. In 3, 2, 1.
So even though it made a lot of sound, that was mostly due to the camera plate, I think. Because other than this corner here, which has feelable plastic damage, there's only a few scuffs. Nothing has been broken or damaged on the phone itself. So it's another survivor. The arc pulse. I was honestly very nervous about this one. The corners are all pretty well protected, but we've seen that a screen can still get damaged even though it's protected on all corners. And it's always the question how the iPhone will fall. Only one way to find out.
This is going to be interesting. In 3, 2, 1.
So you won't believe it, but it actually survived. No damage at all on the phone, screen protector was intact, and only visible damage on the silver case. Very slightly still and not feelable damage. That's a big plus when it comes to aluminium instead of plastic. But very impressed with how this one held up. Probably the biggest shock of this entire video. Especially with this drop, you can see it keeps on landing on the corners, and even with the uneven tiles, it touches the screen only once the biggest drop has already occurred. Now you can bet that if it lands like this straight away, the phone will probably be finished, so there's of course an element of luck here. But that's with all cases. Then, the Rhinoshield solid suit. A lot of you reacted on my tier list video that you were waiting for this case, so here it is. I don't like what they've done with the finish on them this time around, which is much too slippery. The backplate swells up towards the edges, which does look unique and feels nice in the hand. It's also relatively strong, doesn't really give much, but the edges do. So I think it will perform relatively good. But due to the material and finish, I don't think it will be very durable.
In 3, 2, 1. In 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, as far as the damage on the case itself goes, this one took most. It scratched on every angle, almost every corner, and especially the front lip corner. Wow. It also feels rough all over now. So this would probably be a total write-off. I also noticed that the MagSafe ring dents in the backplate a little. And that's probably due to the intro where you heard it crack a little. Nonetheless, not a good look. Luckily for Rhinoshield though, the phone is still intact. Then, Andar. This very unique looking Lagoon Togo leather finish is awesome. Nice suede feeling inner too. Great fit around the iPhone as well, very clicky buttons and pretty good camera protection, even though minimal. Now, leather will absorb these drops like no other, I think. So my prediction would be positive. Decent front protection too, even with the screen protector on there. But if it will still look good afterwards, we'll have to see.
3, 2, 1. In 3, 2, 1.
So the screen protector and phone are all intact. The case did its job. But I was pretty disappointed in how it looked after these drops though. Like I said, I expected leather to be more durable, but I guess it's just so thin of a layer here that it will look like this after a few drops. I don't pretend to know all the ins and outs with case production, it might even be standard practice for these types of cases. But they are not durable at all. So they are beautiful as long as you don't drop them, but be prepared that if you do, it will look like this. Now, most of you know I am a big fan of Benks cases. They make quality products for a good price, so I am very curious to see how their Armor Pro will hold up in this test. I really like the camera bump on this one, and I have been praising it, maybe even using it as a standard for good camera bumps too. It feels like a very strong case, and I've also been featuring this one in more than one top 10 video.
Benks. In 3, 2, 1. In 3, 2, 1.
Only a scuff at one corner, no damage on the phone and no damage on the screen. Awesome protection and the case stays beautiful. Even more reason to buy this case. Now, Benks also has the Armor Air. I doubted very long whether or not I wanted to include these cases into this video, since we all know they aren't made for dropping. Therefore, I started with their Armor Pro and will now show you the difference. We can all speculate on the ability of these cases to protect your iPhone, but until somebody actually drops it, it's guesswork. So at that last drop, the one that ended face flat on the tiles was the one that got it. You can hear and see it was damaged. But to my surprise, the case was pretty much fine. It had one noticeable dent in the frame of the case at the bottom and some rough edges, but overall pretty good and usable still. At first I thought the screen was damaged, but it turned out to be just the screen protector. So all in all, the iPhone itself survived, even with this case. But if I hadn't put a screen protector on the iPhone, the screen would have probably been damaged. Really impressed that this case still looks this good though. That was definitely not something I thought would have been possible with such a thin case. So now the only natural transition would be Pitaka. And since we're talking thin cases, let's start off with their Mag Easy 5. So compared to the Benks Armor Air, this one got a lot more damage on the case. Now, this isn't a scientific test, just like this whole video isn't, because I cannot control how it falls, of course. But from these similar drops, the damage done to this case is significant. There's also the fact that the screen was damaged, but once again, Spigen saved the day with their screen protector. Now, to be frank, I bought 3 iPhones next to the one I already had with the idea that they would all pretty much get damaged. But so far we have not even damaged one, only the cases and screen protectors. So even with this one, no damage to the phone, but significant damage to the screen protector. But just like Benks, Pitaka also has a beefier model, the Mag Easy Pro 4. Nice blocky shape, straight edges, feels really strong and also features that aramid fiber. Really nice looking case. A very good camera bump on there too, which I hope will protect it against all kinds of damages there. A good fit as well and feels very secure.
In 3, 2, 1. In 3, 2, 1.
So even though a lot less damage than on its thinner counterpart, we can still see that chipping going on the sides. Maybe it's the final coating, I'm not sure. Something in general I dislike is that with these black aramid fiber cases, the damages will be shown as white, which makes it extra annoying. Other than the damage on this corner here, nothing more to it. The phone is undamaged, no screen damage, and thus it's another survivor. I haven't forgotten about Casetify. I bought their Impact Clear case with this unique coloring, which in hindsight would make it a little more difficult noticing any damages, but here we are. I've always said that even though these are expensive, they are still very strong. So I cannot imagine one failing today.
In 3, 2, 1. In 3, 2, 1.
Even though the iPhone and screen are totally fine, the case could use some help, as the silicone sides are noticeably damaged. And that's also feelable damage, which would be reason enough for me to replace the case if it were located somewhere I'd grab the phone. I could only find damages on those 2 corners though, and I must say it felt really secure dropping the iPhone with this case on. And that's also worth something. The Smartish Gripzilla. This case is well known for its pistol grip and grippy texture all round. I've placed it in a lot of top 10 videos, and for good reason. I just hope it can maintain that. Potential flaws will be the tiny camera bump, the front lip being a non-textured plastic, and maybe some scratching on the backplate. Good hopes for this one though.
In 3, 2, 1.
So the results are undisputed. This case is a beast. There's literally no damages visible. Only a very small scuff at the front lip corner, but no plastic damages or scratching at all. Camera bump is also very smooth still, so all I can say is go buy this case. When somebody asks me what case I'd recommend when it comes to Otterbox, I would say this one, the Defender. It's very easy to install, has a 3-piece design that consists of a skeleton and the silicone outer. And looking at this very bulky case, you can see why you would never have to worry about dropping it again. So the question isn't will it survive, but how will it survive?
Make sure that's everywhere. Looks good. In 3, 2, 1. In 3, 2, 1.
So without any surprises, it survived. But the frame got this noticeable dent, which was feelable plastic damage, which surprised me a lot considering just how big the outer silicone case is. Other than that though, and a few scuffs on the paint, it's completely fine. And so are the iPhone and the screen. So the Presidio 2 from Speck. I have featured this case before on the channel. This version here is new for me though. First impressions are really nice actually. I like the material on the outside and it's grippy too. I noticed that this has those corner pieces as well, much like the Ringke Fusion X for example. Oh, and on the inside we'll find the text designed for impact, so that's reassuring. Feels decently strong too, kind of flexible but still very strong. The sides though, not so much, which makes for an interesting combination. Oh, and that camera bump is an interesting design choice as well.
In 3, 2, 1.
So even though that texture feels really nice, it's also prone to plastic feelable damages. And since this case is black, it will be very visible as well. The camera ring has plastic damages too, which make it feel rough now, and there is a rough outline on the front lip too, due to a lot of damages here and there. But the iPhone is still in one piece. And no screen damages either. I'm surprised though that the corner pieces didn't get damaged all that much.
Okay, so after having reviewed all of the footage and having seen what had happened, I was really surprised not even one iPhone got damaged. I mean, sure, we got 3 screen protectors, but from 2 cases that aren't really made for dropping anyway. My conclusion is therefore a bit boring. It looks like for drops I showed in this video, most cases are more than enough actually. And if the case fails, it will most likely only matter if you don't have a screen protector on. So unintentionally, this became a giant ad for screen protectors. I was especially surprised with the arc pulse, to be honest. Honestly, I expected that one to be totally destroyed. Now of course there is always the curb or something else where it will hit it at an awkward angle and still destroy your phone. But it's harder to replicate such situations in a fair way to all case brands. Therefore, I would love to hear your feedback. What should I do differently next time around? I'm totally going to repeat this with the new iPhones, so please leave your suggestions down below and hopefully this video was still of some value. Thank you so much for watching.